Alright, what's up, guys? So, today I want to talk to you about the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, I'm a big Batman fanboy, and I love the Dark Knight trilogy. Batman Begins has so many epic scenes in it. Tumblr chase scene, I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you. I really like the scene where Katie Holmes, Rachel Dawes, sees Bruce at the restaurant and he's like swimming in the pool with the models. And he's telling Rachel, all this you see, it's not me. I am more underneath. And Rachel tells Bruce, it's not who you are underneath, but what you do that defines you. And then till at the end of the movie, Katie Holmes, Rachel Dawes, tells Batman, wait, you could die. At least tell me your name. And Batman turns to her and goes, it's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. And she's like, Bruce? So I think that was a pretty epic moment in the film. I love that little interaction there. I think Batman Begins was an amazing origin story for Batman. You know, films have been done in the past, but we never saw Batman's origin story. So I really like the way they did it here. Hans Zimmer's music was epic in this film. I really liked Batman Begins, and it also had the scene, why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. Bruce's dad tells him that, and then Alfred tells him it at the end after his house is burned down. I really like Batman Begins. And plus, I really like the costume in Batman Begins. I thought Christian Bale's costume in Batman Begins was amazing. Christian Bale does an amazing job as Batman and Bruce Wayne. His Batman voice is iconic. Everybody knows it. People have attempted to do it. People have parodied it. So I think Christian Bale's Batman will stand the test of time. He's just amazing in the role. I really like The Dark Knight. As soon as this film starts, we see this epic bank robbery that's filmed beautifully by Christopher Nolan. We have the Joker showing up at the end. I love when they tell him, what do you believe in? Huh? What do you believe in? And the Joker pulls off his mask and he's like, I believe that whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger. And he just drives the school bus off into like 10 other school buses like to hide. So that was pretty good. Batman's first appearance, you know, when the tumbler crashes through the wall, some guys start shooting at them. They're like, that's not him. And then Batman shows up and we hear the epic music in the background. Batman jumps and lands on the car and he pulls their mask off. He's like, don't let me find you out here again. And the guy's like, what's the difference between you and me? And Batman's like, I'm not wearing hockey pads. I think one of my favorite scenes from The Dark Knight is the interrogation scene. I love the way Batman just shows up behind him. The lights go on. He slams Joker's head on the table. And Joker's like, never start with the victim's head. The victim gets all woozy. He can't. Batman just punches his hand on the table. But the scene is really epic and intense. I love the way Batman's just grabbing him. He's like, where are they? Joker is trying to break Batman. And Joker is telling Batman, tonight you're going to break your one rule. And Batman's like, I'm considering it. And then Joker is just like, well, you're going to have to if you're going to save them. And Batman is like, them? And then Joker is like, I thought you really were then, the way you threw yourself after her. And then the music kind of picks up and Batman slams Joker on the table. He puts a chair to block the door so the cops don't come in. He slams Joker's head against the glass window and he's like, where are they? And keeps punching the Joker, where are they? I love the interrogation scene. I think it's one of my favorite moments in a Batman film. It was just so cool to see Batman beat the crap out of the Joker. And I really like that scene. Another scene I really like from The Dark Knight is the Batpod chase scene. You know, we see the Tumbler get destroyed. And then all of a sudden the Batpod comes out. And the Batpod driving through the traffic and everything was really, really cool. You know, I think when they advertised The Dark Knight, they showed the Batpod, they showed the Joker, and a lot of people wanted to see Batman on that cool motorcycle. You know, it was not just a regular motorcycle. The Batpod had a very unique design, and it stood out. So the Batpod chase sequence was pretty cool. Then when the Joker's like, come on, I want you to hit me, do it. And then Batman just veers off. I love the scene where Batman flips the truck over, and then he drives up on the wall and flips over. That was pretty cool. Christian Bale again gave a strong performance as Batman. Heath Ledger gave a great performance as the Joker. His performance won him an Oscar, and he is iconic in the role. Everybody knows about Heath Ledger's Joker, and I think it's one of the best interpretations of the Joker. Aaron Eckhart plays Harvey Dent in this film, who is this lawyer who's cleaning up the streets. Batman takes the fall for him at the end because Harvey Dent was cleaning up the streets without a mask. If people knew that Harvey was actually a criminal, it'll affect his image. So Batman takes the fall for him at the end. But the ending speech of The Dark Knight, the speech Batman and Commissioner Gordon are having, is so epic. I love the ending of The Dark Knight. You know, when he just drives off with a bat pod and then the music is playing in the background. So, you'll hunt me, you'll set the dogs on me, because that's what needs to happen. Because sometimes the truth isn't good enough. Sometimes people deserve more. Sometimes people deserve to have their fate rewarded. We see Alfred burning Rachel's letter. Why is he running, Dad? He didn't do anything wrong. Because we have to chase him. He's a guardian. A silent protector. A dark knight. Now let's talk about The Dark Knight Rises. The opening scene is epic. With Bane on the plane, so many iconic lines where they're asking him, "It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan. No one cared who I was till I put on the mask. If I pull that off, will you die? It would be extremely painful. But you're a big guy. For you." I like that little exchange there. It was pretty cool. Anne Hathaway steals the show as Catwoman. Anne Hathaway is gorgeous and gives an amazing performance as Catwoman. She's charismatic, beautiful, and looks hot in that Catwoman suit. But yeah, I really liked Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. I think her line delivery even was pretty cool. She is very likable, and I don't think they could have cast the role any better. Anne Hathaway as Catwoman was amazing in this film. Christian Bale was a good Batman, as he always is. Tom Hardy gave an amazing performance as Bane. His Bane voice is iconic. People imitate it all the time. You know, when you go on the internet, Tom Hardy's Bane, Heath Ledger's Joker, Christian Bale's Batman, all are well known. Tom Hardy gave a strong performance as Bane. The voice, he bulked up. I think he gained like 40 pounds of muscle for the role. So Tom Hardy's Bane was epic in this film, and he stole every scene that he's in. The fight with him and Batman was epic. You know, and Bane breaking Batman's back. I remember the first time I saw that scene, I got emotional. You know, to see Christian Bale's Batman, our favorite Batman, lose a fight, get broken, and end up in the pit. I will admit that the pit sequence in The Dark Knight Rises kind of slowed down the film a bit, but I think it was necessary to show him rise, and the way he climbed without the rope was pretty cool. You know, but him crawling up the cave and then the pit, and the bats are going there, and the music is playing was pretty epic. Batman's return in The Dark Knight Rises was epic. I love the way how they drew inspiration from The Dark Knight Returns, where the lights start flickering, and the cop is telling him, "Boy, you were in for a show tonight, son." And then we see Batman appear, and the beautiful Hans Zimmer music plays in the background. It was very, very epic. I love the scene where he goes to the doctor and they're telling him about his injuries. And then he goes to meet Commissioner Gordon and he tells him, "We were in this together and then you were gone." And Batman's like, "The Batman wasn't needed anymore. We won." And Commissioner Gordon tells him, "The Batman has to come back." I like that little meeting with them, and he's wearing the mask that he wore in Batman Begins, the ski mask. I like the scene with Alfred where he's like, "I set your bones, but I won't bury you. I buried enough members of the Wayne family." So I thought that was very emotional when he's like, "Saving someone that I've cared for ever since I first heard his cries echo through this house." You know, because if you think about it, when Bruce Wayne's parents died, Alfred was kind of the one who took care of him and raised him. So Alfred would be pretty sad if something happened to Bruce. You know, it's almost like he's not his son, but, you know, like he took care of him, he raised him. And then when Bruce turned 18, I would assume he went off to university. And then after that, he'd go train with the League of Shadows, and then he'd come back and be Batman, you know, closer to 30. But yeah, I love the little interactions. Although Michael Caine's Alfred is not in this film a lot, we see him like more at the start and then closer to the end. But Michael Caine, as always, gave a great performance. The rematch with Batman and Bane I really liked, because when Batman was in the pit, Bane told him, "When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die." So till at the end when they fight now, Batman's punching him in the face, asking him where the trigger is, and Batman's like, "Tell me where the trigger is. Then you have my permission to die." So I like that he gave him back. It was pretty cool. The ending of The Dark Knight Rises had a twist. He flew the bomb away. Catwoman and Batman shared one last kiss before he left. The bomb goes off, and earlier in the film, Alfred had told Bruce, I'd take a trip and order a Fernie Branca, and I'd look across, and I see you there with a wife, maybe a couple of kids. You wouldn't say anything to me nor me to you, but we both know that you were happy and that you made it. And then at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, we see Alfred get his wish come true. We see Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne and Anne Hathaway's Selena Kyle at a restaurant, hanging out. Alfred looks across the table and sees them. They give each other a smile and a head nod, and then the film ends. So The Dark Knight Rises is a great film. The Dark Knight's probably the best one, but I really, really liked Batman Begins. I love the origin story. I love the Tumblr. I liked Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes better than Maggie Gyllenhaal. So that's a lot of factors that I like about Batman Begins. So I think it's kind of a hard decision to say which one is my favorite. I mean, The Dark Knight Rises even had the fight with Batman and Bane, the rematch, the plane crashing scene, Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. The way I look at the Dark Knight trilogy, I kind of look at it as if it's one long film. I watch Batman Begins, I'm like, yeah, this one's my favorite. And then I'll watch The Dark Knight and be like, yeah, that one's my favorite. And then I'll watch The Dark Knight Rises and be like, oh, that one's my favorite. So it's like, I think all the films in the Dark Knight trilogy have something to like. And it's kind of hard to pick which one is your favorite. So I'm just going to say that I like all three of them. I love the Dark Knight trilogy. And I hope you guys do too. If you haven't seen the Dark Knight trilogy, I highly recommend watching it. And if you did watch it and you love it like me, I'm glad you like it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.